Book 6, Chapter 3, The Mismatch, Part 1. Roger decided to leave 2 weeks earlier than Linda and took more Kligo modules, making his ship 50% longer. He wanted to bring more people and equipment. He wanted to give himself the flexibility to divide into 2 smaller ships. Earlier, Roger invited Bhaskar to join the mission. It was now just 2 days before leaving for a dimension, and Bhaskar has not yet arrived. Later that day, he got a message that Bhaskar would arrive on the day they were supposed to leave. Bhaskar actually arrived 5 hours before they were supposed to leave. He still had to go through Crimson to get updates, more technical information, and become telepathic. 3 weeks earlier, Bhaskar had sent 500 of his people to help out with the preparations. These were mostly ground infiltrators and shock troops. Commander Litgar, leader of the Marinti group, was there to guide Bhaskar through all the preps. "You're late, Mr. Emperor," Roger greeted as Bhaskar seated himself beside Jenny. "Crimson took too much time filling my head with the information I might need," Bhaskar said. Jenny looked at Bhaskar's head. "Your head is not that big. So you're smarter now, Emperor Bhaskar?" Rexton turned his ship captain's chair to face Bhaskar, whose chair was directly behind him. "Not really, but I feel really good being telepathic, because you're not Roger." Roger did not mind Bhaskar. "John, are we ready to go?" He looked at his AI, who was standing beside him. "We leave in 38 minutes for Dimension 351218805. This was one of the dimensions in the list of one of the captured Maccabee infiltrators. John answered. "When will the Armada ships be commissioned on the other side?" Bhaskar asked. 3 weeks from now. Then they have to go over to the Crimson planet to get their Crimsons and Trunnies. A DG will be open to let the crew in from here. Each ship would have 10,000 crew members." Joe said. "Our task is to make sure there are no Maccabee interlopers and form the Armada if it has not formed yet, or to help it when it has already formed." Roger said. "Roger, the scout said there was no Armada and the Earth is a little late in its development. Industrial and has just gone to the moon. They estimate a time variance of 50 years. Jenny said. "I hope the mismatch in time is not that big." Roger said. "If it were, we would be dealing with a Maccabee invasion where the Armada personalities are not there yet." Bhaskar explained. "You're too pessimistic, Bhaskar," Baina said. They gated through to the Crimson planet and got 2 more Crimsons and 500 Trunnies. From there, John sent out 4 drone probes to cover Earth. After several days, they were within beaming range of Earth. The Norset operators sent some of the probes suborbit to get a better scan of Earth. Rexton parked the ship inside a gas planet 60 MLY away. "Deploy out our drone probes towards the direction of the Maccabee invasion," Rexton said. John answered, "Yes, I am deploying 60 drones now. They will reach the Maccabee invasion force in 20 days. The Maccabee Armada will reach Earth in 14 months. That is assuming Billy is correct in his estimate of the time the Emperor sent out the 10,000 ships." Roger said. "And if in fact 10,000 ships were actually sent out, it could be more." Bhaskar added. "I am scanning Earth for the largest cave system underneath the U.S. I found several. I recommend the 1.4 miles underneath a mountain in Colorado." John said. Rexton ordered, "Deploy the Max to set the base up." "They are deploying now," John confirmed. Jenny looked at the holos. "Earth looks industrial, but the cars look old. Looks like 1950s. John, get those probes above the U.S. lower and magnify." Roger added. "John, can you send those near Europe lower enough to see the people? Magnify also. I would like to send out hackers now to the major countries." Baina said. Roger agreed. "Send them all out. Send the taggers out also and tag their leaders." Bhaskar stood and, "Come on guys, let's have dinner." They agreed since there was nothing to see at this point. When they reached the small mess hall, it looked crowded, the line was long, and it took a while for them to even start eating. When they got back, there were several screens all around the bridge. John was there standing beside Rexton's chair. John announced, "The Earth is circa late 1950s era. The war has just ended 2 years ago, and it redrew the map. Germany has taken all of Europe from Portugal to the Russian border, except Great Britain and Ireland. The Germans also has Upper Africa, including Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and portions of Iran and Iraq, Libya and Algeria. Norway, Sweden, and Finland are now U.S. territories. Their data systems show that the U.S. defeated the Japanese in Asia with the help of the Chinese. Several Asian countries became U.S. Commonwealth countries: Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam. India, New Zealand, and Australia are now British territories. Nepal down to Myanmar are now part of China. Canada and Mexico are now part of the U.S. The move to join the major countries are still in the works among the non-aligned countries. How about nuclear weapons? Jenny asked. They have very little now, but most are building an arsenal. John answered. Can you display all the major armaments of the U.S.? Roger said. John opened 4 holograms displaying infantry weapons, various ships, planes, and ground equipment. John explained, the U.S. government data systems show that the country is the most egalitarian country with the integration of Asians, blacks, Latinos, and whites. This was due to the influx of refugees from allied countries, and some from the German territories. Discrimination, the data systems reported, is very rare since most depend on each other in the current nation-building frenzy. Germany is a white purist country with no colored people, no Jews, and Muslims treated as second-class citizens, if they are in the German territories. Most of the Muslims were deported to outlying Muslim countries, and the process is ongoing. A lot of whites, American, British, European, Australian, and Canadian purists have immigrated to Germany. Russia is under a czar and very militaristic. China is under a very strong but very liberal emperor who is very closely allied to the U.S. The emperor was born and raised in California, so he is close to his roots. Great Britain is under a queen. So right now all the major countries are at peace, at least there is no active war. Roger said, but a lot of weapons and arms build up. Jenny countered. So under these circumstances, the Armada could not be formed. If the Maccabees arrive, the planet will be destroyed. The humans would not stand a chance against 10,000 ships. Bhaskar concluded. Jenny agreed. It's dicey. A lot of problem areas. I think we should do what the Macs did in your world, Jenny. Roger agreed. Rexton is right. We can start with the leaders. When the Armada ships arrive, we can assign the men to look at potential target personalities, military and civilian. Jenny explained. The Armada needs at least 100,000 troops, maybe 60,000 scientists and 10,000 Armada leaders to be able to deal with the Maccabee invaders. What if the 10,000 splits into 3? Say 4,000 goes to the Norsets, 4,000 to the Inkies, and only 2,000 for Earth. After all, Earth is only one planet while the Norsets and Inkies have hundreds. Roger explained. That is entirely possible. But the Maccabee Armada would probably split anywhere from 800 down to 500 MLY from here to have a more direct route to the other 2 Armada members. Rexton said, even with only 2,000 ships or even 500 ships, the Maccabees could destroy the planet. Bhaskar commented. Roger added, let's start with Jenny's figures. I agree with the 100,000 at least part. Now the scientists take time and the need for them may not be immediate, maybe 10,000 at most. The Armada leader's number is tricky. Maybe 3,000 would be a good number that is attainable and usable. Jenny explained some more. Another major question is that we should choose the country to deal with. If we deal with the U.S., China could be in also. But I would still think that the U.S. would be the obvious choice. The egalitarianism is key to the choice. But you have to assume they still have social turmoil on the ground because racial integration is not automatic even if the government tells its people so. Rexton explained. John, can you send out word to Eric about our problem here and the actions we are leaning on? Tell Eric to send a lot of Mac infiltrators who are familiar with the Earth operations drawing up the list. Yes, Roger. I will send the message out at our next scheduled DG opening within an hour. I read the updates on Andrew's and Ellie's trips, and each dimension is unique and entirely different from the next. The main problem is that the Maccabee threat messed up a lot of worlds. But we should get our asses kissed like what Sin did, Bhaskar said. And who would not want to get their asses kissed, especially by heads of states? Jenny added. That is one of our priorities. If we fail to get our asses kissed, the mission will be rated lower and may even be rated a failure. Joe interrupted. Who's judging? Rexton answered. Everybody. If we do not get our asses kissed, and Andrew and Ellie did, how in the world would you think we would look to them? Joe looked at him puzzled. But our dimension is harder to deal with. The Armada people have not even been born yet. We have to start from scratch. Joe explained. It doesn't matter. We have to succeed with the ass-kissing portion of our mission. Bhaskar argued. Roger added. Look, Joe, look at it this way. We traveled back in time 80 years. How exciting is that? And who else have time traveled if this is at all possible? Okay, I did not see it that way, but you're right. It does look like we traveled back in time. So in this time period, humans have bigger issues. They are not technologically advanced. They are also unfriendly to aliens. They have no way of defending themselves. When the Maccabees arrive, they wouldn't care whether the Armada has formed or will be formed. They are going to raise hell. Maybe kill half of Earth's population and leave. Jenny said. We can just wait for our ships to be built by the Macs, face the 10,000 and leave. The The humans on Earth wouldn't be any wiser. Rexton said, but that's not movie material. We came in, fixed the invaders, and left. No story, no drama. I don't like it. Roger explained. Look, Roger, we can leave and come back later. We can go to another dimension, maybe a dimension with an armada. Then we can come back and deal with the invaders. Jenny said, can we at least talk to the top guys down below and ask them what they think? Bhaskar asked. Who? Joe asked. We can start with the US president, then the Chinese, then the Brits. Jenny suggested. If we talk to the three, they will see it as an opportunity to have advanced technology, and they would agree to whatever we want in exchange for technology. They would ask for exclusivity and try to put the other groups in a bad light, so we deal with them solely. Joe said. Very good, Joe. I see you were reading about human history. Roger said. Bhaskar added. An opportunity if you ask me. They want something, and we want something. Our presence will cause an upheaval on Earth, that's for sure. If we play our cards right, we can make them follow what we like because they want what we have. We can ask, no, require them to follow our equality principle, remove all their laws that are counter to this, create laws to promote this. Then we give them one technology, maybe two or three. Then we ask them to enact laws and create institutions that will help them move forward over the long haul. We can even tell the other countries to unite and form fewer countries. Then we give them some more technology. Then we tell them to give us their best military people from various countries, have them go through the Crimson so we can screen them, then form the Armada. Emperor Bhaskar, you have it laid out already, Jenny said. Absolutely. Bhaskar smiled. Okay, I agree. But no to military technology. We can tell them not to pursue any arms buildup, or we will deal with them. We can make sure nobody does this. They can have small arms, but no nuclear and no missiles. We can have the Armada keep the peace. Jenny said. To make the changes permanent, we would have to continue to monitor them for a very long time. Bhaskar said. We can have our ships, together with the local Max and Crinsons, monitor them. A leader that goes counter to the basic agreements is automatically detained in a time box. Mind read, the accomplices identified and detained. Then we send them to a holding planet. Joe suggested. What if they say no? They could just decide not to deal. Roger said. Then they would face the invasion and die. Bhaskar said. But we wouldn't let them get hurt and die. Jenny added. There are 4 of them, at least. I am so sure one will agree simply because the others did not. It would be impossible for the humans to agree to do this. At least one will definitely agree, and one would definitely not agree. We can impose an all or nothing and let them talk. This could end in them not agreeing. Roger said. They will not agree if they do not perceive the threat like we do. They may not even believe the threat is real. I am okay with letting them talk to each other, but we should also tell them that we intend to divide and conquer. Bhaskar explained. Roger nodded. I agree with your assessment, Bhaskar. So we give them time to agree, and we give each of them one chance to agree with us or not. Jenny pointed. I think that the most egalitarian countries or leadership will be more inclined to agree because the requirement is acceptable to them already. Joe said. Okay, so let's talk to the 3 then. Roger said. You mean US, China, and the Brits? Joe asked. John, are the leaders of the 3 countries tagged already? Roger asked. Why don't we broadcast our arrival across the planet, and we tell them to get the 3 leaders in one place, then we talk to them. We will have everything broadcasted so all the people would know. This way everything is transparent. Bhaskar said. Also more dramatic. Jenny added. I'm okay with that, but we can beam the 3 leaders here. Maybe the top 2 per country. Let's have space as the background for our broadcast. Roger said. Bhaskar added. The broadcast should be in all Earth languages, John? Yes, Bhaskar. You can start anytime and I will project hologram screens across the major cities and in front of the leaders. I want some holograms of our people to appear in the TV stations and tell them they want to talk. Then as the TV cameras roll, we project the same holograms inside the TV stations. Roger said. Jenny agreed. That's dramatic. But I think it would be more dramatic if we appear as various aliens, no human forms. I agree. I can appear as myself, and Joe can appear as himself. Bhaskar said. I want to look like a Slander, John. Rexton asked. I would like to appear as a Bluffung. Roger said. I would like to appear as a Jektanok. Jenny added. I would like to appear as a Tosbin. Baina said. They all looked at Baina. That's a little too much, don't you think, Baina? Roger asked. Bigger is more sinister. Baina explained. They all nodded. But you stay at the back, otherwise you would cover our image. Bhaskar said and Baina smiled. John opened his hand and, Okay, here are your devices. Just talk and the transmission will be translated in the various languages. Do you want our people to go to the TV stations already? Not yet. When they start reacting with newscasters, then we make our entrance. Roger said. Bhaskar nodded. Very good, Roger. Okay, positions. Let me start. John? Roger asked. The four changed to their alien forms. I am opening holographic screens across the cities and in front of the leaders now. You can start talking, Roger. Greetings, people of Earth. We come in peace. This is Rexton, Jenny, Bhaskar, Joe, Bina, and my name is Roger. Roger looked at Bhaskar. Bhaskar started. We bear goodwill for all humans. We have traveled the galaxies to be here in front of you. But we also bear urgent news for you, and we would like to tell you that your world would face the biggest challenge your kind has ever faced. He looked at Jenny. Jenny started. In just over a year, an invading force of 10,000 ships from an alien race called the Maccabees will arrive to destroy this planet and kill a lot of people. They are doing this to prevent some humans in the future to form an armada that can win over them. We are here to prevent them from killing you. You may not understand this now. We would like to talk to the top leaders of the US, China, and Great Britain. All our meetings will be broadcasted, so all humans can understand what is happening. Roger said. The hologram screens showed the ship with a view of space at the back. Then 3 humans appeared. John did the introduction. This is Sir James Andrew Cromwell, Prime Minister of Britain, President Edward Brown from the US, and Emperor Jefferson Qin Tang from China. Roger stepped forward. Okay, Jimmy, Ed and Jeff. I'm Roger. This is Bhaskar, Jenny, Rexton, Bina, and Joe. Please have a seat. The scene showed the 3 leaders sit across the 6 aliens who sat in different chairs of different sizes. May we offer some wine or brandy? Jenny asked. A table and 2 bottles with glasses appear between the 2 groups. Jenny told John to appear as a Dachuan and open the bottles. Brandy for me. John gave him a glass and he nodded, thank you. Ed said, brandy for me as well. Jimmy said, do you have tea? Jeff asked. A teapot and several small teacups appear. John poured Jeff one and gave it to him. Thank you, John. This meeting is now being broadcasted in all TV stations in addition to the holographs in major cities. John explained. Roger followed. I want you guys to know that we came here to prevent your planet from being destroyed by an invading force. We could also leave and let you deal with them, but we believe that the Maccabees will destroy your planet from space, and you have no way of fighting them. You will not survive plasma volleys from 500,000 kilometers from space. 10 shots of this would be like your nuclear bomb, but without the radiation. 10,000 ships can send at least 10 million shots in one day, so you can imagine the devastation of 1 million nuclear bombs all in one day. You have no space travel capabilities, so you cannot respond and even fight. Billions of people could get killed. What would be your demands for this help you want to extend to us? Ed asked.
No demands.
But one request. Just one. That you treat us, me and my brethren here and our kind and your kind, as your equal. Bhaskar answered. Jimmy asked, perplexed. You must be joking, right? Let me tell you something. We could deal with the 10,000 invaders ourselves, and we will defeat them easily. We could leave you not knowing that we helped you, and you can be on your merry way to develop as a species. Maybe in 100 years you can start traveling within your solar system, or maybe mess up your planet with your petty wars and narrow-mindedness, and you can just kill yourselves to extinction. We do not have to involve ourselves with your lives. You have a choice to tell us. No, we do not need your help, and we want to be left alone, and we would leave you alone. Maybe we would even deal with your invaders even if you asked to be alone, or maybe not. Jenny explained. Rexton added, or you can accept our one request. Once you accept this, we would open the galaxies to you. We will provide you with technologies you have never imagined, but can help your people develop into a better civilization. More than anything else, we will give you longer lives, up to 1,000 years. All these for just one request. Maybe you need something we have, like gold or diamonds? Jeff asked. Look, Jeff, there is nothing on Earth that we need. See this gun? The handle, which is its power pack, is made of diamond. The whole gun is a black diamond. We have created millions of these. We are not interested in gold or anything you have. We can make matter out of any other matter. Jenny said, people, we can give you armies. Ed said,
No.
Your world is one planet. Our armies are armies from hundreds of planets for my species alone. Roger's army is more than your country's population from hundreds of planets. No, we are not interested in your armies. Rexton replied. Then if we cannot give you anything, we are of no value to you, and you can just leave. Jeff said, yes, we can. But your lives are most precious to us, and we do not want you to die or kill yourselves. And the invaders will definitely come knocking at your door in a little over a year from now and kill a lot of you. Roger said, if you value our lives, then you must exert effort to preserve our lives? Ed asked. Roger answered, yes. That is why we are here and offer to help and not just leave. But if you choose to tell us to leave, we will. There are a lot of issues in the galaxies needing our help, and we ask that you decide quickly. We will give you 2 days to decide. So it's either we accept your help or not? Jeff asked. Bhaskar answered, no. The choice is whether you agree to our one request or not. We will leave if you do not accept our one request. To deal with the invaders and give you what we said we will give you is our choice, not yours. What would treating you equally mean? Jimmy asked. Bhaskar explained, if you treat me equally and I treat Roger equally and Roger treats Jeff equally, then it follows you must treat Roger and Jeff equally also. You should enact laws that foster this equality and remove laws that promote inequality. That this equality is fundamental in all your laws and judgment. Do you have a brother, Jimmy? A sister? Does your sister expect that you treat her like your sister? Of course. Then ask her what treating her as your sister means. What if we do not accept your request and ask that you help us with the alien invasion? Ed asked. Rexton answered this time, we may choose to help you or not. But why would we help you if you do not even want to agree to our one request? Our request is really, simply, for you to be good to your neighbor, to treat your neighbor as you would yourself. We ask that you be nice to us and you reject our request and still expect us to fight for you? What do you think would we conclude on what kind of species you are? Jenny added, you have to think hard about the long lives that would be open to you. We will provide you with technology to produce cheap energy. This technology and longer lives mean more stability and accumulation of wealth. Consider these and much more and agree to our one and only request. She is beginning to think these leaders are not very smart. Before we beam you down, I want to tell you that we are beginning to realize that you 3 are incredibly dense leaders, and you will make the wrong decision. You may not understand the threat, and you may not believe it, but it's real and it's coming. Maybe you think you can negotiate or play around with us. We can just read your minds and be done with it instead of talking to you. Roger said. He was thinking that maybe it would be easier to switch all the leaders of the world with his Armada people, so he could get the right decisions. They have done this in a lot of planets, so why not here? You have 2 days. Roger said, and the 3 leaders were beamed out. Bhaskar exclaimed, I know. We should just switch them with our Armada people. My thoughts exactly. Jenny seconded. We can mind read them and have our people switch when the time is right. Rexton said, yes, the time is not right. Maybe before the Maccabees come knocking at their doors. Roger said, absolutely. Bhaskar agreed. Roger and his group monitored communications on Earth and realized the humans were motivated by fear more than anything else. Jimmy's meeting with all the royals and the parliament ended on a no answer on the first day. The second day was spent on how to play around with the aliens. Roger and Rexton were present in most of Jimmy's meetings with these people. Roger concluded that they do not understand the threat and doubt whether it exists. They wanted to get the technology in exchange for some other things they can offer. Emperor Jeff was more creative. He ran a poll, with only yes or no answer, with all his people, and 85% of them agreed to grant the request. His Chamber of Advisors, however, voted in no to the request. In the end, the reality of a threat was not understood by the leaders, and Jeff was inclined to say no to the request. They could not imagine that an armada of 10,000 ships from 18 BLY away would travel more than a year to one planet and kill some of them. Emperor Jeff has only 4 aircraft carriers, and to have 10,000 spaceships was beyond belief, beyond his imagination. Jenny and a few Macs went over, Crimson Invisible, to sit in the U.S. presidential meetings to address the Armada offer. Ed conducted several meetings, one with military, one with business leaders, and one with his party. All the congressmen had special sessions for this issue, and everybody wanted to say something. The senators also conducted similar meetings. In the end, they believed the U.S. military can handle the invaders if ever, but there was an overwhelming doubt whether the threat exists or not. After 2 days, the 3 leaders were beamed in front of Roger's people. As usual, all mass communications on Earth were showing the meeting. Thousands of large holograms appear in major cities. Roger started, so in one word, what is your answer? Jimmy, you first.
Jimmy answered, no, no.
Jeff said,
no.
Ed said, we have been monitoring all your meetings. Our people have sat in with you in all your meetings. I have sat in with Jimmy's meetings with the royals and the parliament. We know what transpired. We know your intentions. In fact, we have some of our people go down last night and read your minds while you sleep. So you could say we know what you think. Roger explained. Jenny added, I sat in with Jimmy and with their leaders while Bhaskar and Bina were at Jeff's. We also know your answer already, and we are prepared to leave. The invaders will be here in just over a year. Please prepare your people. When the plasma volleys start raining, and you see millions getting killed, we will not be here to help. Maybe, Bhaskar said, and looked at Roger. Roger explained. Because you misjudged the situation, hundreds of millions would get killed. We would be going to the Norset galaxies 3.5 BLY away to help free over a dozen planets captured by the Morts, another species. Then we would deal with their friends called Bofangs who have more than 3 dozen planets taken over by the Morts. Hopefully we will be back here before the firing starts. The 3 leaders disappeared. We all thought these Earth people would think like normal people do. I guess we misjudged them. Bhaskar said. It is not over yet. Roger countered. Bhaskar nodded. It's a good thing it's not over yet. John plot a course to the Inky galaxy to talk to Rodin. Roger said.